Check this out, guys. Welcome, Madridistas. How are you? I hope you're having a great Wednesday. This is what they were saying last night on Radio Estadio on Onda Cero Edu Pidal about how at Real Madrid they don't believe there's a problem. Well, when we say Real Madrid, we mean Florentino Perez. He doesn't think there's a problem with the players, but rather that they believe there has been a problem with physical preparation and the choice of coach. And honestly, I think this is, let me know in the comments what you guys think. To me, it seems that the first and essential requirement to keep making a mistake and to keep having a problem is not to recognize it. As long as you don't acknowledge something, it's impossible to correct that mistake when people tell you otherwise and you stubbornly keep repeating the same thing. So, like we said yesterday, the day of diagnosis, for me, the diagnosis is wrong. Maybe none of these last three coaches, Ancelotti, because it was the wear and tear at the end of his time, Xavi Alonso, because in the end he didn't go with his own plan, and I think he should have been more direct. If Xavi had had a little bit of that crazy, reckless kamikaze thing that Luis Enrique has, for example, maybe things would have gone better for him. And Arbeloa too, since he joined midway through the season. Regarding Arbeloa, as we'll discuss soon, some say if Mourinho returns, Arbeloa might be his assistant. I don't think that's likely. But anyway, we'll talk about that now, which is another piece of news that came out during the morning. I think Arbeloa is going to be a good coach. Just like Xavi Alonso is, and just like the old Ancelotti is, the old one with all due respect, mainly to distinguish him from the other two. Wow, Ancelotti has been one, Xavi is one, Arbeloa is and will be one, but with this squad, they haven't been able to do it. But each one, for the reasons I mentioned, one because it was the end of an era, the other because he felt unsupported by the club, lacked power, and didn't dare do more. And the other one because he came in halfway through the season, Zidane also came in and look at what he did, but it was a different squad, Zidane is Zidane, and so on. So yes, there is responsibility on the part of all three coaches, but a lot of it comes from outside. I mean, like I said, responsibility for which, without the involvement of the club and the club's powers, that's why Florentino Perez would not have defined himself as such. If any of these three coaches had had either full authority or had been at their best or had had more time, things would have gone better for them. Because they are three good coaches, Ancelotti, Xavi Alonso, and Arbeloa, but all three were victims of the club's situation at the time. Of the moment, in Ancelotti's case, of a stage that had been very successful. But the players were already at a point where they didn't care about anything anymore, and so on. So after this reflection, the club says no, that it's about the coaches and the physical preparation. Well, Pintus, I mean, what I told you in January, that a lot of people were saying, you'll see, now with Pintus, things are going to go really well for us. Have you seen how well that went for us? See, it was really hard to change things in January. Physical preparation. Do you guys think a fitness team, a physical conditioning staff, like the one Xavi Alonso brought, who in Germany, in a tough league like that, had Leverkusen playing that way for 2.5 years. Hey, running like crazy, beating Bayern and all that. Now they get here and suddenly they're all dumb. They don't know how to do anything. Of course, from Florentino's point of view, this one is useless. Pintus, Antonio Pintus. Well, of course, Florentino thinks that way, or a lot of people who said so, like those who played gatekeeper, Juanma Rodriguez, all of them. The other one, the one from Chiringo and so on. Trisak, I think that's the last name. All of them were saying, you'll see now, you'll see Arbeloa, the man hasn't had time. You'll see Pintus, the man hasn't had time either. It's just very difficult. That's how it is. Here they brought in a group of professionals in the physical area, in the Department of Education. In physical training, music, what? Okay. They are qualified, they did their work in the Bundesliga, and they didn't achieve it. Because maybe we need to take a closer look at the medical department, something that isn't talked about, for example, in Madrid. Maybe we need to take a closer look, and that's where I'm going with this reflection, at the professionalism of the squad. It's not just that the squad thinks they're better than they really are. It's not just that there are key positions that weren't chosen or properly replaced, like Kroos and Modric, etc. Or signing more center-backs, since they often get injured, and you've got one huge question mark in Militao, who's already had 2 cruciate injuries, among others. But also, not just because of all that, but also because of the professionalism of some. And because you expected Mbappe to be a leader and he just does his own thing, because you expected Vinicius to have matured, and Vinicius hasn't matured personally, of course. And so that role falls apart. But hey, that's up to them. I feel really sorry about it, of course, because if you don't find the mistake, if you don't make the right diagnosis, the solution is going to be misguided. But like I said yesterday, even if you don't have the right diagnosis, if you sign someone who you think is going to solve that, but that person has the ability or the personality or the character or the aura that, well, Mourinho has. Mourinho or Klopp. And they can, like one of those broad spectrum antibiotics, take care of everything there and make things work. Well, maybe and hopefully, and that's my big hope, right? That's my big hope. But anyway, pay attention to the following, which was also said by Edu Pidal on Radio Estadio Noche. All these things are always to be taken with a grain of salt. Always, you know what I mean. Real Madrid plans to submit a large dossier to UEFA on 3 decades of refereeing, claiming harm from the Negreira case. They believe UEFA might sanction Barça. It's not going to be about showing them all those questionable calls from these 3 years, I don't know, or from these 3 decades. It's not going to be about that. It's enough, man. That helps and that complements. I mean, you present them here with the refereeing balance naturally, and I hope the dossier is well done. Hey, look, it's plus 69 in expulsion balance -1, plus 69 for Barça -1 for Madrid. Okay, but naturally, you have to accompany it. The heart of the matter. What's the heart of the matter? What Juan Luis Martín de Pozuelo is presenting along with Tomás Rubio, Ricardo Ramonera, and everyone who is collaborating with us. But most importantly, Juan Luis filed the complaint with the Federation's Ethics Committee and followed up on it. He sent that to UEFA and also to FIFA, which includes all the documents from the Barcelona Negreira case. That in the spring of 2023, well, UEFA didn't know about it and FIFA was never told anything. These are reports from the Civil Guard, statements from Freixa, Perin, and former Barça executives, etc., 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 etc. By the way, you have all of it on this wonderful website, and also here in the description of this video, the link to negreiragate.com. Everything is absolutely there. I've been telling you this every day. Here you have everything, the documents, the numbers, the people involved, absolutely everything, as I said. Well, that's it. That won't do any good if you say, but on this play, they wronged me, just like the Barça people do. Hey, wasn't there Negreira? Why did they take away a goal against Betis that was a meter in? No, that's not it. You have to look at the whole picture, but you have to start with the main thing, which is the documented payments here, etc., 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 all the facts. And well, besides these facts, just look at the refereeing balance, look at the charts, look at the whole picture. In that case, yes. In that case, yes. Also mentioned this morning, the objective reports Real Madrid is negotiating Mourinho's return to be his assistant coach. The Portuguese would return to the club 13 years after his first stint, in which he won 3 titles. It's written by Adrian Ortega, and well, it talks about the possibility of Arbeloa as the assistant coach. Let's see, Arbeloa, who beat Mourinho in a knockout round, with him coaching Madrid and the other coaching Benfica, is now a fully qualified head coach who can go to any club after this experience with Real Madrid. He's lost quite a few matches and so on because he's also had his share. He has his downsides like these, but also his strengths, like bringing up the youngsters from the academy. Hey, the knockout round against City was really good, and so on. Do you guys think he's going to be Mourinho's assistant now? Only because he cares about him a lot, but professionally, it's not good for Arbeloa. I don't know if this is actually happening. Hey, I respect the fellow journalist who reported this, but I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. And then they're talking about the 3 defenders thing. This is what Pedrerol said yesterday. You know, I hardly ever play him, hardly ever. But if Pedrerol says this, it means it comes directly from the club, because that's one thing he definitely has. Unfortunately, there's a direct line with the club, which I don't understand, especially after what happened with Vinicius in September 2022. But that's how it is, and this is what he said last night.
There's a lot of talk about coaches for next season.
Exclusiva.
I've been told Real Madrid's priority is improving the squad by a wide margin, you know. We'll tell you about that now. And of course, the situation with Anke is concerning.
This seems to contradict what we said before. That's why we should be cautious about claims of improving the squad, right? According to what they say, Florentino believes, or as they say on Radio Estadio Noche on Onda Cero, he believes that it's not so much a problem with the squad as it is with the coach. Even so, it's clear that they have to bring someone in, and I think we all agree on that, right? Bringing in more people is different from blaming the squad for what's happened over the past 2.5 years.
There are several players in defense. The line most affected by injuries because of the age of many players. There will be signings this summer, Roque Mourinho says. and at least 3 signings in defense. Real Madrid will sign at least 3 defenders. Review other positions later, but urgently strengthen the squad, which means making it better. The back line, the most delicate because of injuries, is also the one with the oldest players, right? There are injuries.
Players with the back line is always delicate.
With age, and some of them whose contracts are ending. Real Madrid knows the squad needs to be improved, so, as I said, the priority is to have the right squad for next season. And Madrid knows, the club knows, that the defense needs to be improved considerably. There will be at least 3 signings next season. Roque Mourinho says there will be at least 3 signings.
Well, there are people here already making their bets, saying if it's Lothar Berg from Dortmund, that would be good. If it's Jacobo Ramon, for him to come back, I don't really see it. Maybe they'll give him 1 more year at Como. The other is Pedro Porro. If Tottenham is relegated and he becomes available, he could be a strong right back since Carvajal is leaving, and Pedro Porro could compete for that spot with Trent Alexander-Arnold, who I doubt they'll get rid of after 1 year. Same with Carreras. Someone might say, no, the left back, but you have 3. And you have Mendy. If he's healthy, Mendy is just amazing. Yesterday, Nuno Mendes got beaten several times. That wouldn't happen to Mendy. That's why with Mendy healthy, I would keep Mendy without any problem. And maybe Carreras is a good substitute. Carreras started strong, but some things now make you question if he's really good enough for Real Madrid. I think the issue is going to be, obviously, with the centre-backs, obviously, and the right-back, since the one who's leaving is Carvajal. Let me know in the comments who you think should join Real Madrid's defense. That's it. See you in the next one. Hope all goes well for you. Like, subscribe, comment, and share if you enjoyed this video. I'm taking this from Florentino. Here we go. And that's it. Have a good afternoon. Bye.